let us start with the script writing. Okay. Now, basically, you must have heard many, on televisions and movies and maybe interviews and something. You must have heard these Bollywood actors and actresses saying that I am reading the script. Okay. So, what does basically script means? Script is, there are two type of things. Okay. Script is, there are something called as script writers and there are something called as story writers. Okay. So now first understand what are script writers. Rather, let us work on story writers first, and from there I'll take you. Okay. Now, story writers are the one who are going to write everything: how the story is, what all characters are there, how they will be introduced, then what all their life is going to be, what is their personality like, what do they look like, then what is the problem in their life, then how will they overcome, and finally what will happen with their lives, and finally the conclusion. Okay. So this is all is there in the story. The stories that we have till now, what we have discussed. Okay. That is story writing. Now, from the what these script writers do, they take out the dialogues, they take out the expressions, they take out the way that the characters they behave, their personality, they take out all that information and put it in a structured format. So in first act and in the first scene, what will be your dialogue, and then in the second scene, what will be your dialogue. So like this. Okay, so that is what is script writing. Understood now the difference between script and story writing? Okay, so basically in script writing, you work on the movement, actions, expressions, and dialogues. That's it. Okay, when the characters or when the actors and actresses, they want to know the story, they will read the story. But when they want to know their expressions, their dialogues, how the dialogues are supposed to be spoken, then they are going to read the script. Okay, clear now for everyone? Now, script writing is very, very important, or rather very common whenever you are writing for theaters. Okay, plays, skits are there, mimes are there. Okay, so these are the different types of scripts that you will usually, and also for videos, those short videos you might have seen for brands, for companies, those 30 seconds, sometimes 60 seconds videos. So you write scripts for them. Okay, so whenever a company approach or any person they approach for you to write content for the videos, it is usually called as video scripts. Okay, now whenever you are working on a script, please remember, usually in the beginning you can give an introductory paragraph. Suppose you're opening a scene, there might be some scene, okay, maybe introductory scene, or maybe the next scene to that, or maybe third scene. You usually give a short paragraph introducing it, what is happening right now. Okay, even if you have seen different types of skits or plays in theaters, so whenever they open the next scene, the narrator, they give some introduction. Basically the narrator says what is going on in this current scene right now. Okay, what you're going to watch, what is going to happen now, that is what the narrator describes. Okay, so that is what is always required in a script. Okay, now taking the information from the story and creating a script might sound easy, but it is not. Okay, you have to keep the soul of the story in the script also. That is why it is not an easy job. Yes, your research is not required because everything is ready for you. You will just take the information from there and write it in a dialogue wise content. Okay, but still when it comes to to keeping the structure similar. Okay, so the structure of the script and the story should be similar. The structure, the way, the expressions, whatever the scene is, according to that you have to work on the expressions. Okay, how the voice modulations, so if there is some fighting going on, okay, if there's some fight scene going on, so how the voice modulation will be. If there is some comedy scene or romantic scene going on, then how they need to speak, how they need to work on their expressions, their body language, how far are they standing, how close are the characters standing. Okay, are they sitting, are they standing, are they lying down. So what basically the characters are going to do, all those things are in the script. Okay, clear now for everyone?
Yes.
Now this is basically is your script. Okay, now this one is your scene heading. Okay, so every scene and under acts, there are 3 acts: act 1, act 2, act 3. Under every act there are going to be different scenes. Okay, so for example, in the act 1, you are introducing your characters. Okay, so first scene is maybe those characters are from college. Okay, so first scene is that the college, college, the characters are standing in front of the college gate and they are discussing. That is the first scene. Okay, so that will be your first scene. College, say college, standing in front of the door gate. Okay, standing in front of college gate. Then you have to talk about the time. So time is maybe your night, morning, evening, afternoon, lunch, dinner, okay, party time, evening, high tea. So those will be your time here. Okay, and you have to talk about the location. So suburban, home. So you can say college, gate, and your time here. Okay, so it might be morning. So you will say morning. Okay, clear? Then comes your whatever details that is going to be there in the scene. All those things you will write here. Okay, if there is a dialogue, then you are going to write the dialogues also here as well. Then comes your next part, that is your suburban home, again kitchen. Okay, this one was in the home, night, and next scene is in the kitchen. So maybe few of the characters, they got up from their wherever they were sitting at a maybe they're sitting in the drawing room, or maybe they're sitting at the porch also. So now they might have gone inside few of the characters, and now what is happening between them. Okay, so maybe the conversation between them, how they're standing, a young hand snatches it. Okay, a green ball sits on a countertop. A young hand catches it. It belongs to Filbert. Very lost in his own imaginary world, dressed as a knight, a toy sword in his other hand. Okay. And then Filbert, this is my castle. Now Filbert says this dialogue. Okay. Usually the dialogues are not written like this. They are written, the name of the character is written, and then the dialogue is written. Then the name of the character, and then the other dialogue. Okay, it is usually not written like this. This is a typewritten form, so that is why it is showing in the center, but it starts from here. Okay, from the left hand side. Now in a particular scene, there are some cut scenes. Okay, now what are those cut scenes? Those are called as intercut. Okay, whenever a scene is going on, okay, suppose 2 to 3 characters are conversing with each other. Okay, wherever they are sitting. So suppose they are sitting in a bedroom. Okay, 2 are sitting on the bed, 1 is standing near the bed. Okay, and they are having a conversation. Now a phone rings. Okay, or maybe a bell rings, or maybe someone knocks at the door, or maybe something is cooking in the kitchen, on the kitchen, and then suddenly there is a there's a whistle from the pressure cooker. Okay, so anything that disturbs the normal flow of the conversation or normal flow of the scene, that is known as intercut. Clear now for everyone? So now this normal conversation is going on, and then there is a phone. Okay, phone rings. So one of the character, or maybe another character that is not there in the scene, that character, then you will show that scene. What is happening? If there is a bell rang, who came? Or a phone is ringing, so who's on the phone? Or maybe the person went to the kitchen to switch off the gas. Okay, so you might show that scene also. It is not a compulsory, but if it is required in your scene, you can of course do that. Okay, so in a normal scene, whenever there is a small thing or small break that comes up, so that is called as intercut. Okay, clear? Then suppose now there is a party going on. Okay, in a scene, but some party is going on. Okay, now that party is in a club. Okay, so and there are some 5 to 6 characters that are there. Okay, so now there can be conversation between 3 characters. Okay, somewhere in that party only. Then there can be conversation between 4 5 characters separately. Then there can be some conversations or some type of act that is going on among 2 to 3 characters. Okay, so now what you're doing, you have to, as a writer, as a story writer or a script writer, you have to describe what is happening in all the 3 scenes. Okay, so now first you will say the scene that is there on the balcony. So maybe few people are standing on the balcony and having a conversation. Few people are sitting on the table in the club itself and they're having a conversation. Okay, few people might have left the club and they might be waiting for their car to come. Okay, so now there are 3 scenes simultaneously going on. Okay, so whenever you're jumping from one scene to the other scene, you use subheaders. Okay, so suppose you are first showing the conversation between the people in the balcony, so you will say balcony. Okay, then you will next you will show the conversation between the people in the parking lot, then you will say parking lot. That is again will be your subheader. The scene is same, one scene is there, but people are scattered, scattered, and the conversation is going on simultaneously. Okay, this type of things are usually there whenever you are writing scripts or stories for shows, for series. Okay, so whenever you're writing such things for series, these usually, because you maybe there are 6-7 characters, so some characters are sitting at one place, some characters are sitting at one place, but you have to show simultaneously what is going on among all of them in that particular time period. Okay, understood now? So that is what is called is your subheader. Okay, clear now? Okay, now whenever you are working on the dialogues and you're writing it for a script, so make sure that you show in your dialogues only to the character, maybe to the person who's reading, who might enact on that particular script. Tell them how they are going to use, what expressions they are going to use, how they are going to stand, if they are standing. Okay, if they're sitting, then how they are going to sit, all these things, how their body language is going to be, rather. Okay, then how they are going to speak, how they are going to modulate their voice. Are they going to shout? Are they going to to stay subtle? Okay, are they going to maintain their voice? So how are they going to enact on that full dialogue? You have to show that. Okay, in every dialogue it is very, very important. Okay, so if suppose a person picks up a phone, okay, then from which hand are they going to pick up? Okay, and which ear, right side or left side, where are they going to put it? Okay, and how are they going to talk on the phone? Suppose if it's an unknown number, so they should show it on their face that it is an unknown number. Okay, they don't know who they are. So whenever you also get a call from an unknown number, your voice changes. Okay, you're like hello, because you want to know who's speaking. But if you know who's that person is, if someone, your friend or your family member calls, then you directly say hello, hi, how are you? You directly say that because you're confident enough that I know this person. Okay, same thing your character should also do. Okay, clear for everyone now? Now, there are something called as slug lines. Okay, just give me 1 minute. Okay, now there are something called as slug lines. Slug lines is basically that gives us what should I say, some extra information about that particular scene. Okay, so that extra information can be where the scene is. So that means the location of that scene. Okay, what the time is and what is the context. Okay, so here if you are writing it down somewhere, so slug lines are basically which gives extra information about the scenes. Okay, so extra information is the location, the time, and the context. Okay, clear? So now whenever a scene is, that can be inside also, so that means location. That is why I told you the location. It can be inside a room, house, hostel, office, anywhere. Okay, or it can be outside, on the road, in a park, anywhere outside. Okay, so that is your location. Your time, day, night, morning, evening, having lunch, having dinner, high tea, okay, breakfast. So this will, if the characters are having breakfast, so audience will automatically understand that it is a morning scene. Okay, so that will be your time. Okay, then comes your context. Context is basically where you are going to, whatever happened in the last scene. Okay, so there is some transition. So maybe in your scene, the conversation, the characters, they fought in the last night. Okay, they had a very, very big fight. Okay, last night. Okay, and it can be physical also, it can be verbal also, or however it is. Okay, now the next scene will be, if it is if it was a say a physical fight, then one of the character might have got hurt. Okay, so next scene will be that the character is wearing those bandages. Okay, so that will become your this thing, your next scene. So the context is there. Okay, so now the conversation will be their maybe their relative or their friends will ask her, oh, what happened? Why are you wearing so many bandages? Did you fight with someone? Okay, so that is the context. From the previous scene, you took the information and now the conversation is going to happen about what happened in the previous scene. Okay, so that is the context. Clear now for everyone? Now, whenever you're writing like this, the interior, inside, exterior, outside, okay, then what time, day, night, morning, all these things, whenever you're writing, do write them in capital. Okay, they are not the normal the normal words in the scene, okay, because these are the things that will tell the actor or the actress about what is happening. Okay, so that is why whatever such type of extra information that you're going to give, that should be in capital fonts, okay, all caps. Clear for everyone? See now, interior and Maud's kitchen, day. Okay, that means it is an inside. This is the name of the kitchen, and then it is a day. Okay, then exterior, rock quarry, maybe that is a particular park name or something, and then day or the road name, whatever it is. Okay, so this is scene 1, scene 2. Under one act only, there can be as many scenes as you want. There is no limit to the scenes. Okay, now let us work on our action lines. Action lines are basically, these are the lines which you write just below this slug lines. One second, what? Okay, see, this is your slug line. Okay, then is your Maud chops carrots at the counter. Now what is happening? Maud is a person, okay, is chopping the carrots at the kitchen counter. Okay, Becky leans against the fridge. Now that is what I told you. You have to show what the characters are doing, how they are doing it, and the expressions. Okay, so one character, this is the action. One character is standing, leaning on the fridge, okay, and fiddles with the Rubik's cube. So in her hand, there is Rubik's cubes. Okay, so now Rubik's cube, she's playing with that. Now there is a conversation. Maud is saying, I don't think Dave will say yes. Becky, oh, I think he will. No, absolutely not. Okay, clear? So this is what is your, this is what you have to work on your action. Same here. Dave, who's 45 years old, rugged with an edge, stands on a path in conversation with Mott and Becky. Dave, I don't need you. With a knowing smile, Becky raises a tattered journal. Okay, so now whatever is happening, the action, you have to write the action here in a very, that is what the paragraph that I was telling you. As soon as the conversation starts, the dialogue starts, you have to write a paragraph. Okay, in that paragraph, you are going to describe what the characters are doing, their body language, okay, and maybe their expressions also sometimes. So here you can say, if suppose Mott is angry, so you can say Mott is chopping carrots at the counter angrily. Okay, so you're talking about their expressions also. So whenever their conversation is going on, the way that Mott is going to speak, Mott will say it within angry words. Okay, clear now for everyone? Now, these action lines, they will tell, basically, they will inform the reader what is happening. Okay, that means in the dialogues, how they need to imagine. If suppose now I told you that Mott is chopping carrot at the counter, so now you can imagine some person chopping the carrots, okay, and then you will imagine Becky, however it was described, the physical features of Becky and Mott, however it was described. So you will imagine those people, and then you will imagine Becky, a girl who is leaning against the fridge with a Rubik's cube. So you can imagine that person doing it. Okay, so now then the conversation is there. Okay, Harry Potter's 8th book, then the series of those Harry Potter's Philosopher's Stone, then that 7 books are there, right? The 8th book is basically a script book. Okay, if you get to read that book, please read it. It is basically the conversation that is going on among all the characters. Okay, but it is a different story from whatever has happened in the 7th book. 8th book has a different story, but related to Harry Potter only. But yes, it is more about the script type of book. There are more conversations rather than explaining the scenes and all. Okay, now this is what are your action lines. So action lines are basically that will show what your characters are doing in that particular scene. You can always say these are just the dialogues. Suppose you want to say, Mott said, I don't think Dave will say yes. Okay, so now you can talk about the action also. You can say, I don't think Dave will say yes. Maud kept her knife down and stared directly at Becky. Understood now? And then Becky's dialogue will be there. Okay, you can say, do it, write it like this also. So it is not always compulsory to only write the dialogues. You can write what their action also along with the dialogue. Okay, or say, Maud, or say, and then Becky said, oh, I think he will. She kept her Rubik's Cube down and picked up the knife which Mott was using and started chopping the carrots or says tomatoes or whatever. Okay, so that is what you can do that. Or maybe Becky opened the, oh, I think he will. Becky kept a Rubik's Cube and opened the fridge and started drinking the cold milk from there. You can write something like that. Okay, so that your audience can imagine what is going on. Okay, clear? Or you can say, oh, I think he will. Becky shifted from, say, now she, while sitting down, Becky said, you can say, right now, Becky is leaning against the fridge. Then you can say, while sitting on the chair next to the fridge, Becky said, oh, I think he will. Okay, now see. Maud chops carrots at the counter. Becky leans against the fridge. Same thing, dialogues are there. Day 45, rugged with an edge. Stands on a path in conversation with Mott and Becky. I don't need you. With a knowing smile, Becky raises a tattered journal. Becky, you might need this. Dave's jaw drops. Okay, so there's a journal which Becky raised, tattered journal it is. Okay, so Becky raised and showed it to Dave, and then Becky said, you might need this. And then Dave's jaws drops. That means Dave was shocked that this journal is with Becky. How come she got this journal? Okay, clear now? Now see, this action is there, this action is there, and the third action is there. Okay, so it is not compulsory that you only have to write the actions in the beginning. You can write the actions in between the dialogues also. Clear? Now let us work on your characters. Okay, so obviously whenever you're working on the characters, their 3D sketch is what is going to help you. Okay, so now first thing is how the character is speaking, how the character is standing, sitting, whatever actions that they are doing. Okay, or maybe how the characters are working on their voice modulation, their actions, all those things are where you will describe the characters, their personality. Okay, so that is what is your character cues. So what is basically your characters are doing, what their voice modulation is, what their physical appearance is, and the actions that they are doing. They all speak about the character. Okay, clear for everyone? Okay, and now let us work on the dialogues. Dialogues are basically, whenever you're working on a dialogue, the dialogues can be as straightforward as it can be, or they can be twisted also, okay, depending on the scene or the story. So straightforward dialogues are whatever we just read, okay, the examples there between Becky, Dave, and Mott. So these were the dialogues which are very, very straightforward, okay. Usually in a particular these the modern stories, the stories that you're reading right now, the movies that you're watching right now, they use a language which we use on a daily basis. Okay, even Hindi movies or some regional movies also, if you watch, they use because they use English also words, they use Hindi sentences, and between they use English words like what we do. Okay, even in your regional language also you use a bit of English words. So these are normal language. So many writers, many script writers, many dialogue writers, they started working on this normal language. Why? Because sometimes, most of the times, it becomes very important to connect with the audience. Okay, instead of using twisted dialogues means, using words which you will not use in your daily language. But as I say, I'll give an example. Okay, I'll give you one Hindi example. So I'll say, I think this is very with this movie, Viva movie. Anyone remembers Viva? So the dialogues in them, that female, what was her name? Amrita Sen, right? So Amrita Sen, whatever dialogue she was speaking, you will never speak those dialogues on a daily basis. Okay, understood? But yes, you understood the dialogues. You didn't need a dictionary for this. But those dialogues you will not speak, that language you will not speak on a daily basis. But there is a movie, this one. that Jab We Met. Okay, Jab We Met created history. Why? Because the dialogues that they were using were the dialogues that you're using it on a daily basis. Okay, there was no difference in that dialogue. Now all the movies from that director, I don't remember, I think some director, I don't remember the name of the director, Jab We Met director, all the movies by him, okay, they had these same dialogues. And after that, most of the movies, if you watch from Jab We Met onwards, okay, most of the movies, they use those dialogues because it was very easy for audience to connect with those characters, Kareena Kapoor and Shahid Kapoor's characters. Okay, they became a rage among the youngsters. Understood? So that is what, whenever you're working on the dialogues, there are twisted dialogues and there are straightforward dialogues. Okay, clear for everyone? Now this is a screenplay from Inglorious Bastards. If you have watched that movie, okay. So now, Perrier Charlotte, would you be so good as to get the Colonel some wine? Okay, Colonel Landa, Mercy Bicop, Monistia Lapidite, but no wine. This being a dairy farm, one would be safe in assuming you have milk. Okay. Then Charlotte said, "Oui," because it is a French thing. They are using French language also, and because it is based in France. Okay. Then Colonel Landa, then milk is what I prefer. Charlotte, very well. Okay, so now this is what the farmer, perfect host, turns to his wife and says. Okay, then the mother of three takes a carafe of milk out of the icebox, pours a tall glass of fresh white liquid for the colonel. The SS colonel takes a long drink from the glass, then puts it down loudly on the wooden table. Okay, so this particular dialogue is what these are very, very straightforward dialogue. So what is happening here? Perrier, the farmer, asked his wife to get wine for the colonel. Then colonel said, "No, I don't want the wine. Because it is a dairy farm, so I'm expecting some warm milk." Okay. Then this Charlotte gets the warm milk for the for the colonel. Okay, so this is what is your straight dialogue, straightforward dialogue. So you know what is happening. Normal language they are using. Okay, so the language of the dialogues are not something, which you might not be able to understand. Books by John Grisham. Okay, books by this Jeffrey Archer. Okay, these two people, they use a lot of twisted dialogues. Now why is that? Okay, using twisted dialogues is not a bad thing. Okay, sometimes because of the genre that you are working on, you have to use these dialogues also. Now John Grisham was actually he writes books on law. Okay, law based books. So all his stories are related, somewhere they are related to some or the other lawyers. Okay, so the language that these lawyers they use is quite different from the normal language that we use to converse. Okay, so that is why these their dialogues are a bit twisted and a bit difficult for the normal audience. Now if I read John Grisham books a lot. Okay, so now even for me, I will not say even for me, for people like me, okay, it becomes quite difficult to understand. So most of the time, I sit with a dictionary because I love reading his books, and his stories are very, very nice. Okay, these stories are amazing stories, the way that he writes. So even if you want to start reading his books, a very good collection of books. And but for me, I have to sit with the dictionary. Okay, because these maybe I am not the target audience for John Grisham. For John Grisham, the target audience are the people who are interested in law, people who are interested in crime, and all these things. Okay, but yes, his books are very good, his stories are very good. Till the end, you will you just don't know what will happen in the story. Okay, so that is where it depends on the genre also sometimes, that you have to use such type of dialogues which might be a bit difficult for the audience to read, or rather it may be they might not use those dialogues on a daily basis, but yes, they might understand it. Your movies, if you watch your movies around these 80s and 70s movies, okay, I don't know about other languages, but yes, Hindi Bollywood movies 70s and 80s, those they used to have lots of twisted dialogues. Okay, those dialogues were where you understood the dialogue, but yes, you will not use it on a daily basis. Okay, clear for everyone?